How to fulfill your dream in 2026. Let me start with a hard truth. Your dream does not care how badly you want it. It does not care about your excuses, your past, or how unfair things feel. Your dream responds to one thing, and one thing only: who you become. 2026 is not going to be the year your life magically changes. It will be the year your decisions finally catch up with you. Most people don't fail because they aim too high. They fail because they refuse to look honestly at themselves. So if you want to fulfill your dream in 2026, step 1 is this: take radical ownership. No more if only, no more blaming circumstances, parents, economy, timing, or luck. You may not be responsible for where you started, but you are 100% responsible for where you end up. And that responsibility, that's not a burden, that's power. Because the moment you own the outcome, you gain the ability to change it. Now let's talk about motivation. Motivation is overrated. It feels good, it sounds good, and it disappears the moment things get hard. What actually changes lives is clarity. Clarity about what you want. Clarity about why it matters. Clarity about what you're willing to sacrifice to get it. If your dream is vague, your effort will be weak. You don't need a better mood, you need a better plan. Ask yourself, what does success look like by the end of 2026? What skills does that version of me have? What does that version of me do every single day? Because here's the uncomfortable truth: your future is built in your daily routines, not your big speeches to yourself. Which brings us to skills. Dreams don't pay rent, skills do. If you want your dream to fund your life, you must become valuable. That means learning when it's uncomfortable, practicing when no one is watching, being bad at something long enough to become great at it. Stop waiting to feel confident. Confidence is earned through reps, and yes, you will fail a lot, but failure is not a verdict, it's feedback. Every setback is information telling you what doesn't work. The only real failure is quitting, or worse, never starting. The people who win aren't special. They're just willing to look stupid longer than everyone else. So if 2026 is going to be different, it won't be because the world changed. It'll be because you did. You chose ownership over excuses, clarity over comfort, skills over shortcuts, learning over fear. And if you do that consistently, relentlessly, your dream won't be a fantasy anymore. It'll be inevitable. Now the only question left is simple: who are you willing to become to earn it? Radical ownership means making a decision that changes everything. Nothing in your life happens to you, it happens because of you. That idea is uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it's powerful. The moment you stop outsourcing blame to circumstances, to other people, to bad luck, you take back control. Most people give up their power without realizing it. They say things like, "I didn't have the right support, the timing wasn't right," or "I'm just not built like that." Those statements feel harmless, but they quietly lock you into the same results year after year. If you want different outcomes in 2026, you have to start by owning the inputs. Your habits are not random. They're choices repeated long enough to feel automatic. If your days are disorganized, if your energy is low, if your progress is slow, it's not a personality trait, it's a pattern. And patterns can be changed, but only after you stop pretending they came from somewhere else. Radical ownership asks you to look at your daily actions without excuses and say, "This is mine." Not to shame yourself, but to empower yourself. The same is true for skills. Where you are right now is a direct reflection of what you've chosen to learn, practice, and avoid. That doesn't mean you're incapable, it means you're unfinished. Every gap in your life points to a skill you haven't built yet. Communication, discipline, focus, emotional control, problem solving, these are learnable. But as long as you blame your environment, you delay your growth. Ownership turns frustration into a roadmap. Mindset is the final layer, and it's the one people underestimate the most. The stories you tell yourself shape what you attempt and what you avoid. When you own your mindset, you stop saying, "This is just how I am," and start asking, "What belief is holding me back right now?" You realize that confidence is not something you wait for, it's something you construct through action. You stop needing permission. You stop waiting to be ready. Radical ownership is not about being harsh with yourself. It's about being honest enough to see that your future is being built quietly every day by the choices you repeat when no one is watching, and the standards you enforce when it would be easier to let things slide. Clarity is the difference between people who talk about change and people who actually change. Motivation feels powerful in the moment, but it is unreliable. It shows up when things are exciting and disappears the second discomfort enters the room. Clarity, on the other hand, stays. When you are clear, you don't need to hype yourself up every morning. You know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what happens if you don't. That certainty creates momentum even on days when you feel tired, bored, or doubtful. Most people struggle not because they lack drive, but because they lack precision. They say they want success, happiness, or freedom, but they cannot define what those words mean in real, measurable terms. Without clarity, the brain defaults to comfort. You end up busy, but not effective, working hard on things that don't move the needle. Clarity forces you to confront reality. It asks you to decide what matters most and accept that everything else is a distraction. When you are clear, decision-making becomes simple. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it today?" and start asking, "Does this align with what I said I want?" That shift is everything. Discipline is not about willpower, it's about removing ambiguity. The clearer the target, the easier it is to aim. Clarity also exposes the cost of inaction. When you clearly see the life you're building, or the one you're drifting toward, comfort becomes less appealing. You realize that avoiding discomfort today is actually choosing a much bigger discomfort tomorrow. That awareness sharpens your focus. It keeps you moving even when progress feels slow. You don't need more motivation. You need to sit down and define your standards, what you will tolerate, what you will no longer accept, what winning actually looks like by the end of 2026. Once those lines are drawn, your actions naturally begin to align. You stop relying on emotion and start relying on structure, systems, and non-negotiables that guide you forward even when the excitement is gone. Work feels repetitive. Skills are the currency of the real world. You can have ambition, vision, and passion, but without skills, none of it translates into results. Dreams remain ideas until you can execute, and execution is always skill-based. The marketplace doesn't reward intention. It rewards usefulness. The more problems you can solve, the more value you create, and the more opportunities open up. Many people get stuck because they confuse potential with progress. They believe talent will carry them, or that the right opportunity will eventually appear. But opportunity is attracted. Competence, the fastest way to change your life is to become undeniable at something that matters. That doesn't require genius. It requires focus, patience, and a willingness to be bad long enough to improve. Skill building is uncomfortable because it exposes your weaknesses. It forces you to confront what you don't know instead of staying in familiar territory where you feel capable. That discomfort is not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're learning. Every expert you admire once struggled through the same awkward phase, repeating basics, making mistakes, and refining their approach while no one was paying attention. The mistake people make is trying to build everything at once. Skills compound when you choose deliberately. Identify the few abilities that directly support your goals and attack them relentlessly. Read, practice, seek feedback, and apply what you learn. In real situations, progress may feel slow at first, but competence builds quietly, then suddenly becomes obvious. Skills also create confidence that motivation never can. When you know you can deliver results, fear loses its grip. You stop hoping things will work out and start trusting your ability to adapt. That confidence is grounded, not emotional. It comes from proof. If you want your dream to sustain you, fund you, and scale with you, you must earn it through capability. The future doesn't belong to the most passionate people, but to the most prepared ones, the ones who showed up daily to sharpen their edge while others waited to feel ready. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the raw material required to build it. The problem is not that people fail, it's that they attach emotion and identity to the failure instead of extracting information from it. The moment something goes wrong, they tell themselves a story: I'm not good at this isn't for me, or this always happens. Those stories turn temporary setbacks into permanent limits. When you treat failure as drama, it drains your energy. When you treat it as data, it sharpens your strategy. Every attempt gives you feedback: what worked, what didn't, what needs to change. That feedback is incredibly valuable, but only if you're willing to look at it honestly. Most people either avoid failure altogether or rush past it without learning anything. They either quit too early or repeat the same mistake with more effort instead of more insight. Growth happens when you slow down enough to analyze what the experience is teaching you. Learning to fail well is a skill. It requires emotional control. Instead of reacting with frustration or embarrassment, you pause and ask better questions. Was the plan flawed, or was the execution weak? Did you lack information, skill, or consistency? Was this a timing issue or a preparation issue? Those questions turn disappointment into direction. They give you something concrete to improve instead of something vague to fear. The people who move fast in life are not the ones who avoid mistakes. They are the ones who recover quickly. They don't waste weeks replaying what went wrong. They adjust and re-engage. Speed of learning beats perfection every time. If you're willing to fail, reflect, and try again, you will outpace people who wait until everything feels safe and certain. Failure also strips away ego. It reminds you that progress is earned, not granted. It forces humility, which is essential for growth. When you stop needing to protect your image, you become more coachable. You listen more, you experiment more, you improve faster. If you want 2026 to be a breakthrough year, you have to normalize setbacks, not tolerate them, not complain about them, but expect them. Every meaningful goal comes with resistance. Every new level demands adaptation. The only way forward is through trial, error, and correction, repeated it enough times that what once felt impossible starts to feel familiar and manageable through accumulated lessons and relentless iteration. Failure only becomes dangerous when you misunderstand it. Most people treat failure like a verdict on who they are instead of evidence about what they tried. The moment something doesn't work, they internalize it. They assume it means they lack talent, intelligence, or destiny. That assumption quietly ends more dreams than lack of opportunity ever will. When you label failure as a personal flaw, you stop experimenting. You play small. You avoid situations where you might look inexperienced, and in doing so, you avoid growth itself. When you reframe failure as data, everything changes. Data is neutral. It doesn't judge you, it informs you. It tells you what variables need adjusting. It shows you where your thinking was incomplete or your preparation was insufficient. Instead of asking, why am I like this? You start asking, what specifically didn't work? That shift removes emotion from the equation and replaces it with curiosity. Curiosity keeps you moving forward. Progress in any meaningful pursuit is non-linear. There will be plateaus, regressions, and moments where effort does not immediately produce results. People who expect constant success interpret these moments as signs to stop. People who understand failure as feedback recognize them as part of the process. They know that mastery is built through cycles of attempt, reflection, and correction. Each cycle strengthens judgment and sharpens execution. The speed at which you succeed is directly tied to the speed at which you learn from mistakes. If you avoid failure, you slow down. If you dwell on it emotionally, you stall. But if you extract the lesson and re-engage quickly, you build momentum. Resilience is not about enduring pain, it's about shortening recovery time. faster you can move from setback to action, the more unstoppable you become. Failure also forces you to confront reality without illusions. It exposes gaps between where you think you are and where you actually are. That honesty is uncomfortable, but it is essential. Growth requires accurate self-assessment. You cannot improve what you refuse to measure. When you stop protecting your ego, you become free to evolve. Every successful outcome is sitting on top of a pile of failed attempts that taught the person what not to do. The difference is not that they failed less, but that they learned more. When you embrace failure as information, you stop fearing it and start using it, allowing each attempt to refine your approach and push you closer to the outcome you're working toward through deliberate adjustment and consistent forward pressure.